coming to the point which I mentioned earlier, you want to make a masjid where a masjid is run properly. What is it, I'm assuming, that you feel like some of the masjids you have been to or some of the masjids around the world aren't run properly?
It's the blind leading the blind.
What do you mean by that?
So when you want to, and I'm not talking about the teachers in the masjid there when I say that, I'm talking about the organization and the management. This deen, so the masjid is the hub from which this deen is spread. In Medina, it was Masjid al-Nabawi, right? That's where the Prophet ﷺ would lead the prayers, where he would teach the people. He would do judgment there. People would come to him asking for judgment, advices, the delegations, all these, tribe leaders will come, speak to that was the place where it all kicked off, right?
Yeah.
So the masjid's got to be the heartbeat of the society. It's got to be the heartbeat of the community, right? That's where we educate the people. That's where we do the janazas. That's where we do everything happens there. You get married, you call an imam. He has to perform the nikah, right? Every Friday, go Jummah khutbah this. I learn my deen from there. I learn Quran from there. The masjid
stems from there.
It stems from there. So, akhi, the masjid is responsible for managing the people within that community. But, management is a skill that we don't have. I learned this from being around these C-suite executives. The way these guys operate, running like companies where there's 250 people underneath them. One brother I know, he's part of a venture capitalist firm, and in their fund they got companies that they manage over like 125 million investment that they have. Their portfolio in this company, $120 million dollars, and he's managing like 25 companies in that portfolio. And the way how he's making sure everything is happening up to date with all the stakeholders, the board of directors, and showing them how to improve things. How is this one man managing all of this? I thought management is a skill, and it's a skill that people don't have. Like when I have a business now, I've got KPIs, I've got key performance indicators for my team, right? I've got OKRs, I've got objectives and key results. I've got ways to measure performance. I've got ways to kind of improve certain processes and systems. If I don't get the target this year, okay, let me get it next year, right? Why don't we apply that to our deen? Now, why is it that in the madrasa, we don't have a way of understanding, okay, cool. The kids, why are they not memorizing Quran enough? Okay, the ones that are memorizing Quran, why can't we speed up the process? Okay, why is it the kids who have graduated from the madrasa memorize Quran, but they're selling drugs on the streets? What went wrong? What went wrong? Why is it the percentage of kids who graduate from the madrasa, who actually are on their deen, is so low? What's going on? Why is it that 90% of the community don't turn up, or 95% of the community don't turn up to Fajr Salah, but they do turn up to Jummah? What's going on there? How can we market to them? Like how can we reach out to them? There's so much that is at play here. There's so much, like, to manage the salah, to manage the lessons. What lessons am I teaching? I've got a guy who I've brought to give the khutbah, but he's talking a different language. Okay, if he talks in English, he's not able to relate to the people. Why is it this brother is talking from a background where the community can't relate to him? What he's talking doesn't actually relate to what they're speaking. I think there's so much here. Like one of the brothers broke it down earlier. He was like, this whole deen, bro, you can understand, like, there's parallels between da'wah and business. There's marketing, there's product development, there's customer relations, there's sales, right? There's management. I can like that with the deen. There's a marketing side. Not that I'm saying market the deen in the way that you market a business, but there is, like, what is da'wah if it's not calling people, making them aware of this deen?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
I know exactly what you're saying.
So I clocked that most people, it's not even their fault. They can't run the masjid the way it deserves to be run, because they come from a background of maybe being a shopkeeper, and I'm not trying to disrespect him. I rate that craft, but you don't deserve to run a masjid. You come from a background, maybe you're an accountant, maybe you're a doctor, you're well-to-do, maybe you got some experience, but how is it that the guy who's managing a company with 250 people underneath him, where he's got clients that are giving him 30 mil budgets, we understand that level of skill is needed to run a company like that, but we don't think that a skill of that level, if not more, is needed to run a masjid, when it's more important. And that's the problem. There's many other issues as well: the knowledge, the quality of the teachers, the imams. There's so much. But
would you say this is just in the UK or all over?
Oh, all over.
Yeah?
All over, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, the mushkil is, the Prophet ﷺ was an elite. He had management down to a T, bro. The way the Prophet ﷺ was able to manage, think about it, he's managing armies, he's managing a state, he's managing his household, he's got 9 wives, he's managing the conflicts of the people. The Prophet had management down to a T.
Yeah, down to a T. Yeah. Actually, I want to come to this point in the podcast, right? Because obviously the podcast is primarily based around business. And I know secret that you are a businessman there. So going back to the first point, almost in the past life when you started having this recognition and started realizing what's what and what's needed in your life to move forward, inshallah. What business did you have then? Because obviously you shut down the studio. You must have still been looking for some sort of hustle, some sort of business, but at the same time trying to keep it halal.
Yeah.
So what did you do?
Well, I teamed up with one brother who was a coach, a BJJ coach.
Oh, what's sorry?
Yeah, BJJ.
What's that?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was very, very proficient at the craft and very into like health and fitness. So I said, okay, cool. You're good at this. So I identified the product or the service rather, but he didn't know how to sell. And, marketing and getting the message out there, something that always kind of came natural to me. So we said, okay, let's set up something called Sunnah Fit. Sunnah Fit, because it's from the Sunnah to be healthy, right? As in the Sunnah has so many things that it teaches us in terms of food, provision, certain sports like archery, swimming, like it's all in Sunnah. So I was like, okay, cool. So we're going to call it Sunnah Fit. And I teamed up with him and we put together a digital product. So we're going to make a diet. But the diet is going to incorporate prophetic foods. So the Prophet said there's so many hadith on prophetic medication and food and honey. And so we just did research on the scientific benefits from it, the nutritional benefits. And we put this together. We called it the Khatam diet. Khatam means the seal. So the point was it was like the seal of all diets. So we put it together. Alhamdulillah, it was first ever digital product.
What year is this then?
This is like
digital product. It must have been fairly recent to some extent, no?
This is like 2011. Yeah, 2011.
Yeah, sick.
So I remember, bro, we selling it for like £20. I made a rack, £1,000 off that.
Is it? MashaAllah.
Yeah, I thought, whoa, okay, this is
in the space of how long?
Maybe like a couple of weeks, but that was my first ever
take on it. Yeah,
first ever halal business venture.
Yeah. And how did that make you feel in comparison to? I'm sure the studio would have made more money than the £1,000, right?
Yeah, at the time, studio was making
halal
more.
Versus haram. How did that make you feel?
It made me feel exuberant because I remember I used to think I don't know how to make money unless it's haram or illegal, and then Allah will just, he opened up so many doors for me. I started getting mentors. I remember I saw one advert of a guy who was a practicing brother who was on his deen, he was a student of knowledge, graduated from Medina University, but he was also a businessman. So he was doing a 5-day course, mentorship course on business leadership and whatnot. It was like £2,000. I was like, bro, now I'm broke. I've got nothing. So I managed to scrape the money, went to that course, blew my mind. Okay, cool. So he told us you could do things online, Facebook marketing, this is what you do. Not even ads, all organic. So I just started learning, educating. And I honestly, and that's the thing, like anyone who educates themselves whoever has the mindset of let me learn, you're gonna be unmatchable. I finish a book every 3 days.
Really?
I finish a book every 3 days. And by the way, I read every day in Arabic, religious books, and I also read English books in terms of business, personal development. As for the English books, I finish one every 3 days.
Favorite book?
In what topic? Like in personal development, I would say Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. That book was hugely beneficial. In terms of marketing, Traction. That book blew my mind. Like most people, everyone when it comes to marketing, just think about Instagram, put up a post, Facebook ad. That book will show you know nothing about marketing. Blew my mind.
What book would you say, just one book, has changed your life in all aspects for the better, aside from the Quran?
In terms of a religious book, I would say Dawah by Ibn Qayyim. It's a book called,
it is a religious book, but it changed everything, yeah?
Bro, that blew my mind. It's called The Sickness and the Cure. And that whole book is, that book is deep. It's about how to, it shows you how to get rid of sins and come back to Allah, but it shows you how that's going to benefit you in your money, how it's going to benefit you in your health, how it's going to benefit you in your strength, how it's going to benefit you in your household. It shows you how the sins that you're doing is the reason why your wife don't listen to you. It shows you how the reason sins you're doing is why you might have big biceps because you go to the gym, but you don't have no self-restraint. You can't even lift a blanket off yourself. just to wake up and pray Fajr. It shows you why you have no self-control. That book blew my mind. It shows you why you're obsessed over money. It shows you why you can't. That book goes in. It goes in. The book
is in English.
I think I heard it's a translation, but it don't do it justice, bro.
Yeah, you got to read it in Arabic.
But it must still benefit. But in terms of, that's after the Quran, right? And the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. There's also another book called Kitab al-Tawheed, which is a book which is just about Allah. In terms of the English books, the first book, and it was probably because it set me off in the right direction, was Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. I look at all these, it's funny, I read alhamdulillah, I rinse these books. I look at them on my bookshelf regularly. Which one did I benefit from? I asked myself that the most. Like, which one really was the book? Yeah, Awaken the Giant Within. That book blew my mind, bro.
I'm going to have to give that a read.
Yeah, bro, that book will show you. And even think there's things in all of these books by the non-Muslims that are like, they have un-Islamic elements and whatnot. It's always going to be there. You just got to make sure you filter all that stuff out. But that book, Awaken the Giant Within, there's a reason why I have... mindset is very important. You've got to go out there and dream big, bro. That book will show you how to think.
Yeah. You know, one of the main reasons why I wanted to get you on, right, is because I feel like, I think this may be only in the UK or Western states, but there's definitely that misconception that if you're a religious man, you come across pious, you're on your deen, spreading the message of Islam, dawah, all of it, that you can't be a businessman at the same time, and that you can't be making money at the same time. And when people put hand in hand that, okay, this man's high up in terms of deen, but is also high up in terms of making money, sometimes they slate a man because they're like, how can you be doing both? It don't align. So tell me your version of that.
Yeah, because it's jarring, because the Prophet was rich. Like Allah said in the Quran, وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. Muhammad, we found you poor, we made you rich. It's in the Quran, it's there. And that's one of the small surahs that little kids memorize. Allah said, we found you poor, we made you rich, Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now, what people will then throw back at you is, but didn't the Prophet have moments of difficulty and poverty? And I don't like to use the word poverty because poverty means you're in need, and the Prophet was never in need of anyone except Allah. So I don't want to say poverty, but the Prophet ﷺ had times of difficulty, no doubt. But that wasn't always the case. And not only that, when the Prophet ﷺ did have money, he would give it away. He was extremely generous. Ibn Abbas said there was no one more generous than the Prophet ﷺ. So to give you an example, one time the Prophet ﷺ had a bunch of sheep. There was a valley between two mountains, and the sheep covered the valley. Back in those days, that's money, bro.
Well, they're all his sheep.
All his. Yeah. And you know what's proof they're all his? Because he gave it away to someone. Can a man give away something that doesn't belong to him?
No.
How can I give away another man's property?
Well, no, you can't.
You can't, right?
Yeah.
And the Prophet ﷺ was not allowed to receive charity. He was never a charity case. So where did the Prophet ﷺ... The Prophet had 9 wives. How's he maintaining them? Furthermore, are you even allowed to get married to multiple wives if you can't take care of them financially? So how are you telling me the Prophet ﷺ was broke? The Prophet was extremely generous. Like one time when the Prophet was sick and he was going in and out of consciousness, he had 6 gold coins. He told his wife Aisha, get rid of them. I don't want to die and go to Allah and I have this with me. The Prophet was extremely generous. He had moments of difficulty, but he was never poor. And yes, people will say that ayah in the Quran where Allah said we made you rich, that's talking about contentment, richness of the heart. And it's true, it is. But then also some of the scholars mentioned that it's talking about the Prophet's wife Khadija. He made him rich, i.e. he made him feel rich because of this wife that he had. But let's not forget, richness is also in terms of money. And the Prophet had it. That is, the Prophet had it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And not just that. Okay, if you want to beef him on the Prophet, even though the Prophet used to make dua saying, Allah, I seek refuge with you from poverty. The Prophet saying, Allah, don't make me poor. Do you know what I'm saying? But then let's look at Abu Bakr, who was the best man after the Prophet from this ummah. The best man. Actually, one time he gave charity. What he gave was 40,000 silver coins. That is the equivalent of about 6 mil today in purchasing power. If you do the maths. It's the equivalent of about 6 mil. He gave it away for the Prophet's migration. Now, some of the scholars mention, are you allowed to give away all your wealth? Because Abu Bakr gave away all his wealth. Because another companion wanted to give all his wealth and the Prophet said, no, don't. Leave some behind for your family. Because if you've given all your wealth away, what happens now?
You can't support your own family.
And now you're poor.
Yeah.
Now you're begging. Or you're going to do haram to get that money, right?
Yeah.
But Abu Bakr gave away all his wealth. So are you allowed to? And the scholars mention that it depends on you. If you're a person who's going to be able to manage the difficulty and the consequences and the hardship that comes with now losing all your wealth, then perhaps. But there's also one other element. Abu Bakr was a businessman. He knew how to get that money back. You know why? What's proof of that? Because when he went to Medina, he did the same thing again. He gave away all his wealth a second time.
Built it again, gave it away again.
And not just that, he survived after that, which means he got the money back. So the Sahaba had money, bro. Like they had money. You know, they had moments of poverty where they lost everything and they left it behind for Allah's sake, trusted in Him, and went back and built it again. So to me, I'm not trying to put anyone down who might be struggling financially, because I know where I've come from, and nothing is from me. It's all from Allah's mercy and His favor. But let's call a spade a spade. Will people respect a poor man the way they respect a rich man when the rich man says to you, all of this from Allah, so forget this, go pray? Or when a poor man says to you, pray, you're thinking, you don't have anything to distract you in the first place. You're praying, one might say, even though I'm not saying it's correct to say, but one might say,
you're praying because you've nothing else to do.
You got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
There's a brother I know, the one that I told you is a venture capitalist. He's got this, he's part of this investment firm, right? Acquisition firm, where they got the $120 million dollars worth of companies in his portfolio. I sat him down one day. I said, bro, why do you keep doing what you're doing? I don't even get it. What's the motivation now?
How much bread do you want to make?
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what's your motivation? He said to you, you know what I'm doing, bro? He said, I sit with CEOs of startups that are going to be the next big thing. These guys are going to grow up to be very powerful now. I'm trying to make sure they're patterned, because I'm trying to influence them. Because when you go to a CEO of a company, not just a CEO, because the CEO is an employee, but imagine you're a founder CEO, and you've now got a company that's IPO'd now. It's gone public. Right? You got a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
You're a big man. People can't tell you nothing. You're in like top 0.5%.
You're up there now.
Right?
You're up there.
But these guys who are putting down 20 mil in your company, there's a very small bracket of people that you will still look up to and think, yes, sir. Alright? When you're in that situation, there's a very small bracket of people you're going to look up and think, let me be on my best behavior today. That I need to impress him. He's in that position. He's like, you know, when you've done when you got your first stage, second stage, third stage fund, bro, we are messing with people. We're putting 10, 20 mil into his business to help it go to the next stage.
Yeah. He's
listening to me, bro. He's here to listen to me. So you say, when I go to the quarterly meetings that they told me, okay, the money's up, this happened, that's happened. After I'm done with all that, I ask them a question. How's your iman? And they're baffed. I said, yeah, bro, we got all of that done out of the way. Let's get down to the source, bro. How's your iman? It's okay. Okay, how can we improve it? We talked about how to bring this up and bring that metric up. Let's bring your iman up. He said, bro, I tell them pray, and they start praying. Because sometimes I don't even give them a hadith. He said, wallahi, I'm not saying anything emotional. Sometimes people might be listening to this conversation and think, oh, there were some parts that were inspirational, some parts that were emotional, some parts that touched me. He said, monotonously, I told them, pray 5 times a day. He says, because of my seat, it's where it's coming from. Because there's guys that don't stop drinking alcohol.
It's because of the status.
Because of the status, right? He said, sometimes we're making a decision, so we're talking about, should we go into this market, that market? Should we approach the strategy in this way? Okay, cool. We're make istikhara, right? Seek counsel from Allah.
Yeah.
He said, once I'm done with all that, okay, go. Let's pray istikhara. What? He said, yeah. Shouldn't we ask the Lord now, the King of Kings? Let's go ask Him. So, bro, very few people can be in that situation. Like I said to you at the beginning, now, alhamdulillah, because people when they look at me, they think, oh, he's not just a hermit. He's not a guy who's just in West London, who's just screaming every Friday, even though I used to scream on the mic. But he's not just that guy. Like, the guy understands the world. He understands the depth of business dynamics. He understands the depth of marital relationships. He understands the depth of social, economic circumstances. And he's still on his deen. And he's showing people how to be on their deen. Yeah, let me listen to him. So that's why people want to sit down and, wallah, all this from Allah. When I'm saying all this, I swear by Allah, I'm not trying to pump myself or bring myself up. I could be gone tomorrow. All this from Allah. But now these brothers are saying, oh, chat to me. So now, wallah, there's one brother, he pulled up on me. Actually, I went to him because I need some help, some advice. Why he even gave me time of day, I don't know. But I found out later, he wanted some Islamic advice from me. So this brother, he charges his clients $20,000 to $50,000 a week. For company strategy.
Okay, yeah.
And his clients he's got governments.
High-paying clients, obviously.
NHS was his client once upon a time. He's up there, all right? So at the end of the comment, like, bro, he gave me so much time. I know this guy's a big man, right? So he helped us put our company structure together and stuff that's basic, but I come from the ends, bro. I don't know these things.
Yeah. It's not second nature to us.
Right. So I felt shy. So I was like, bro, like, can you give me an invoice? I'm actually happy he didn't give me an invoice. From when he told me he charges 50,000 a week, I'm actually happy he didn't. But I was like, let me do it or something. He said, no, to be honest, he goes, you could do something better. He said, I want to know, how can I get barakah in my business? I'm trying to make money. What can you tell me from a deen perspective that's going to help me be able to increase my money? I said, yo, bro, I got the source for you, bro. Look at this. Allah Azza wa Jal told you in the Quran, if you seek forgiveness from Him, Allah will give you wealth. So every day just be seeking forgiveness. People think seeking forgiveness is only for sins. No, sometimes you don't even realize you're sinning. Just keep saying astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Say it regularly and mean it. And actually try to stop. The Prophet would do it 100 times a day. Allah said, وَيُمْدِدُكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ. Allah will give you children and He will give you wealth. And I told him a couple other things. He's like, okay. So why would he even come to me? Because he understood, okay, this is not like a normal tip. Like, this is a guy who's in business himself. He's got some type of background, some type of relatability. So for me, akhi, like, when you tell me to, like, be broke, these are the people that you can't reach out to. And why I want to reach out to people like that is because from the top, they can actually make decisions and influence that's going to filter down in their companies.
On a deeper impact.
Right. And not just that, when you want to raise money on the last 10 nights, it's man like him that you want. Do you understand? It's man like him that you want. So why are you putting him down? You're saying, oh, don't run after money. And no one's running after money. What people don't deep is that, I'm actually running after the akhirah. It's just
along the way, Allah's blessing you with wealth.
No, the Prophet said it. If you wake up in the morning and your focus every morning is the next life, Allah will drag the dunya to you. Alhamdulillah.
So you don't need to chase the dunya. Dunya will come to you.
I'm just having fun. I'm just doing me. Every day I wake up, I go play Fajr in the Masjid. I sit there, I wait for the sunrise. I go have breakfast in this little Pakistani spot. I have my little dal channa, bro, my little halwa, bro, my little desi omelette and paratha. Then I get to work. Then I have my durush with my mashayikh for 2 hours every day. Get back to work. Spend time with family. And the rest is just Allah. Allah is doing. He's just making it happen for me. I'm just having fun. I just love the deen. So everything I do, like I told you, I have a marriage app, right? Brother Abbas is my business partner in that. He built the product. Allah Barak, he's CEO as well of the company. Allah Barak, Sunnah Match. Many people must have heard of it. Why we came up with that idea? Because I grew up seeing how hard it was for people to find a wife in a way that's halal without...
Still is,
right? And without doing it in a haram way. So cool, let's make an app. Okay, but there's other apps out there, but they don't attract the practicing audience. So my concern is just the deen. So naturally, when I get into business, I'm trying to find solutions to people's deen-based problems. And the rest is history. Do you get me? So I'm doing business, but because I love the deen, I'm just trying to solve religious problems.
Yeah.
And then the consequence of that is that like, it's just growing. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like for people to have this mindset of be broke, like poverty is piety. And some people, it's good. Allah knows that they shouldn't make money. If they got money, it'll become a fitna for them. But that's not everyone. And if you know that you shouldn't run after money because it can be dangerous for you, okay, don't look down on the brothers that are. But then the brothers that are, also we need to remind them, focus on the akhirah, bro. Focus, because you're going into that grave and that money's not going into that grave with you. So what are you using that money for? Right? Don't be that person who Allah said on the day of judgment, on the day when we bring hellfire to them. And he sees the hellfire for what it is. He says, Ya laytani qaddamtu li hayati. He says, destruction to me. If only I invested something in my life. Life, in that moment he realized my past life's not my life. This is my life. I should have invested for this life because this is the life.
Yeah.
But he was just chasing the dunya. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's sad now because don't you think that we see a lot of people now, just constantly chasing dunya and not worrying about or thinking about anything else, not thinking about the akhirah, just thinking about dunya. How can I make as much money as possible? How can I live the best lifestyle? How can I get this girl? How can I do this? How can I do that? Constantly thinking that. Though there are some people obviously who still have Islam beside them and making sure that they're praying and all that alongside of it. But then you also have people who are just full dunya and that's it. No other concerns.
Allah said, there's the ayah the Imam recited in the salah the other day. Allah said, Al-malu wal-banun zinatul hayati dunya. Children and money, wealth, is from the beautification of this life. Wal-baqiyatu salihatu. But the dhikr you do at the end of the salah, at the end of the salah you say, Subhanallah, 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 Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The dhikr after the salah is called baqiyatu salihat. Allah said, it's better and greater to Allah. Like, you're running after the cars, the clothes, the women, the kids. But Allah saying that dhikr you do after the salah to say Allahu Akbar, akhi, is better than all of that. If only you knew.
And for people who don't know how to do dhikr, how many times is it for each thing you say?
33, and the last one 34. So Subhanallah 33, Alhamdulillah 30. You know what's mad? There's a hadith the Prophet said, whoever says Subhanallah 10, Alhamdulillah 10, Allahu Akbar 10 times, just 10. The other one is 33, 30. 10 times, we'll go to Jannah.
Inshallah.
The people, the Sahabi asked the Prophet ﷺ, so why is it so few do it?
Do you know when I realized, to be fair, I always knew that dhikr is very, very important, yeah. And then I saw a video one time on YouTube, and it was saying in the times of the Dajjal, when he's going to come in starvation, and it's going to be tempting for you to go to him because he's going to provide the food and all that sort of stuff. The thing that's going to fill you up in them times is your dhikr that you do now. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's crazy.
Isn't that not? Even there's a hadith, and I believe the hadith you're referring to is when Ya'juj and Ma'juj, they come.
Yes, yeah.
And Isa alayhi salam will take everyone to the mountain and there'll be no food for no one.
I think it was Ya'juj and Ma'juj, not the Dajjal.
And just by doing tasbih, you're going to be full. So the point is that you got to have your eye on the prize, bro. And this stuff will not fill you up. Like, people are chasing the women and the glitz and the glamours because that's what's in front of them and that's what they see. I came across this study about habituation. You're more likely to believe something if it's repeated twice. You're 50% more likely to believe something if it's repeated twice. Even if it's false. Just deep that for a second.
Yeah.
This is false, but I'm 50% more likely to believe it just because it got repeated. What if it's repeated again and again and again and again and again, and then it's showed to me and it's mentioned in the podcast, and then not only that, the algorithm understood me, so it's putting those videos in front of me, it's putting those ads in front of me, right? Of course I'm going to believe it. So for so many of us, we've become habituated to the dunya. We see the dunya and we're told, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, get the girl, get the money, this is where it's at, this is what success is, this is what success looks like. So that's why people became distracted from the reality.